It's February in St Petersburg 2020 and we've had a surprisingly warm winter. You can see there's no snow, but it's still rather cold. Behind me you can see the wonderful General Staff building, which was built roughly 50 years after the Hermitage. And there it is, the famous Alexander column. Now, why is it so famous, you may ask? Well, it's the largest standing red granite column in the world. It's 50 meters high, weighs 500 tons, and when the architect first built it in 1830, he had to walk around it every single day to prove to St Petersburg's wary residents that it wouldn't suddenly collapse, because the base is actually freestanding. It isn't fixed onto anything. They just basically lifted it up and left it there to stand. If you were to visit the Hermitage every single day for 8 hours and spend only 1 minute looking at each piece of artwork, you'd have to spend 10 years of your life to be able to see everything. And to be honest, actually, it isn't everything, because the Hermitage has over 3 million artworks, but only 5% are on display, which seems absolutely absurd. So just to see 5% of the 3 million artworks, you'd need 10 years. See the rest of the 95% of the 3 million artworks, you'll have to go to the Staraya Derevnaya Restoration and Storage Museum, which is quite far away from the Hermitage and definitely not as grand from the outside, but it's just filled with all sorts of amazing treasures that they simply just couldn't fit in the Hermitage, like bejeweled tents, which some sultan gave to Catherine the Great, and carriages, costumes, all sorts of wonderful things. And here, of course, is the Hermitage, or at least one side of it. You can see that there's actually a bridge connecting the Hermitage to another building, which people often don't realize. I mean, the reason it's the world's second largest art museum in the world, I think, after the Louvre, is because the building is just so ginormous. It goes on and on and on and on and on. So one bridge, one extension, and then surprise, surprise, another bridge. You can see the people walking through to the next extension, which then goes on. Yeah, look at those majestic men holding up the balcony. So yes, the Hermitage isn't all blue and turquoise. It's got quite a few different styles and colours to it. It's just a never-ending treasure chest. So, one building, another extension, and as if you didn't think it could get any bigger, there is another bridge going over this lovely canal, connecting the Hermitage to yet another building. And there you can see the plaque commemorating the October 1917 revolution, where the Bolsheviks took over Palace Square and the Winter Palace. Though the focus may be on the Winter Palace, there are quite a few other interesting buildings here. Take, for example, this building, the Guard Corps. It doesn't look like much, but it was actually built in the 1850s, and though it does admittedly need quite a good lick of paint, it's still quite a special building. It's got loads of history attached to it. It was here that the Guards burst out in 1905 to shoot at the poor civilians who had come right through the triumphant march there to give a petition to the Tsar. And unfortunately, I think quite a few, I think it was 100 or so people were killed, thousands were imprisoned and injured.
Экскурсия по экспозиции